nani? Msaada wangu watoka wapi? Bali ni watoka kwako Yesu. Yesu wangu, umeniponya roho yangu. Wewe kweli ni wa ajabu, na mimi nitakushukuru.
We find that Job was passing through very many circumstances. He was suffering. In fact, his health, Satan attacked his health. We see it in Job chapter 2. Satan attacked his health. Job himself, in fact, passed through very many problems. If we read Job chapter 2, from verse 6, and the Lord said to Satan, Behold, he is in your hand, but spare his life. So Satan went out from the presence of the Lord and struck Job with painful boils from the sole of his foot to the crown of his head. And he took for himself a potsherd with which to scrub himself while he sat in the midst of the ashes. So we see that Job passed through very many circumstances. His health was attacked. Even despite of his health being attacked by Satan, he did not fail to worship God. He continued to worship God despite of each and every circumstances he passed through. So I urge you, as Christians, as believers, let us be like Job. Despite of the circumstances that you are passing through right now, don't fail to glorify the name of God, because maybe everything that comes your way, it comes with a purpose. So even we see that Job himself, his properties and his children were taken away from him. If you read Job chapter 1, verse 13 to 22, now there was a day when his sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And a messenger came to Job and said, The oxen were plowing and the donkeys feeding beside them, when the servants raided them and took them away. Indeed, they have killed the servants with the edge of the sword, and I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, The fire of God fell from heaven and burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them. And I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, The Chaldeans formed 3 bands, raided the camels and took them away. Yes, and killed the servants with the edge of the sword. And I alone have escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another also came and said, Your sons and daughters were eating and drinking wine in their oldest brother's house. And suddenly a great wind came from across the wilderness and struck the 4 corners of the house. And it fell on the young people, and they are dead. And I alone have escaped to tell you. Then Job arose, tore his robe and shaved his head, and he fell to the ground and worshipped. And he said, Naked I came from my mother's womb, and naked shall I return there. The Lord gave, and the Lord has taken. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this, Job did not sin nor charge God with wrong. So, from the verses that we have read, we see that his properties, he had sheep there, camels, his children, his sons and daughters, they were taken away from him. But despite of all these things, his properties being taken away from him, he never failed to worship the name of God. He said thank you to the name of God. So I urge you, don't see the situation that you are passing in and say that there is no God. God is there and everything will come your way. Everything that you wishes to come your way will come to your way. So long as you pray hard, pray without ceasing. So we also see still about the story of Job. Job had his friends, his three friends, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar. When they saw Job passing through the circumstances that he was in, his friends told them that this Job seems to be a sinner. In real life situation right now, we have friends, all of us have friends. You can be passing through a certain situation, then those friends of yours tells you that this situation you are passing through, it seems that you are a sinner. So I tell you that if you are passing through a certain situation right now, that doesn't mean that you are a sinner. Sometimes some things happen in our lives because of a reason. Maybe God wants to test our faith. Do we really have faith? Can we continue to serve Him in all the seasons, either in good times or in bad times? Can we continue to serve Him? Because there are some of us, when they pass through certain circumstances, they start saying, or they start even cursing God. They say, is really God there? How do I pass through this situation? And they say that there is God. Is really God there? So don't say like that. Even we see in Job chapter 2, verse 9, the wife of Job tells Job to curse God and die because he saw the situation, the pain that Job was passing through, the painful sores that Satan had inflicted in his body. So his wife tells Job that curse God and die. In Job chapter 2, verse 9, then his wife said to him, do you still hold fast to your integrity? Curse God and die. But he said to her, you speak as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we indeed accept good from God, and shall we not accept adversity? In all this, Job did not sin with his lips. So even after his wife telling Job that curse God and die because of the pain that you are passing through, Job did not do that. Right now, you have your children, you have friends, you can be passing through a certain situation. Then your friend or your child tells you, curse God and die. Or he can tell you, speak something. That thing that you speak, maybe it is bad, it does not please God. So you are not supposed to do that. Just believe in God, just believe that everything that you pass through, there is a reward that will come to your way. So long as you become prayerful all the time, pray without ceasing. So the situation that you are in, let it not be a factor for one to demean you and tell you that you have sinned. Despite of all the challenges that Job passed through, Job never failed to serve the Lord. He believed in God. That is found in Job chapter 19, verse 25 to 27. Job 19, 25 to 27. For I know that my Redeemer lives, and he shall stand at last on the earth. And after my skin is destroyed, this I know, that in my flesh I shall see God, whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold, and not another. How my heart yearns within me. So Job had faith in God. Despite of everything that he passed through, he had faith in God. And at last we see that Job got a reward. If we read Job chapter 42, verse 12 to 17. Now the Lord blessed the latter days of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 female donkeys. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he called the name of the first Jemima, the name of the second Kezia, and the name of the third Keren. In all the land were found no women so beautiful as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them an inheritance among their brothers. After this, Job lived 140 years and saw his children and grandchildren for 4 generations. So Job died old and full of days. So after Job had been passing through difficult circumstances, he had believed in God. He knew that his destiny is in God. So in his later life, we see in his beginning, his early life, he passed through challenges. But through that persistence in prayer and believing in God all the time, in his later life, everything that he had lost was given back to him, and he got many and many things. So I urge you, anything that you lost, just know that your destiny is in God. God will reward you so long as you believe in Him. Everything that you lost will be given back to you, and you'll get it in plenty. So another person that I want to refer to is Daniel. Daniel chapter 6. Daniel chapter 6. We all understand the story of Daniel, and we see that King Darius had passed through, had said had given a decree that had been passed by him, King Darius himself, that anyone who will pray to any god or any human being during the next 30 days will be thrown into a lion's den. Someone to read for me Daniel chapter 6 verse 7 to 17. Daniel 6, 7 to 17.
Say, the royal administrators, prefects, satraps, advisors, and governors have all agreed that the king should issue an edict and enforce the decree that anyone who prays to any god or human being during the next 30 days, except to you, your majesty, shall be thrown into the lion's den. Now, your majesty, issue the decree and put it in writing so that it cannot be altered, in accordance with the law of Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed. So King Darius put the decree in writing. Now when Daniel learned that the decree had been published, he went home to his upstairs room where the windows opened toward Jerusalem. 3 times a day he got down on his knees and prayed, giving thanks to his God, just as he had done before. Then these men went as a group and found Daniel praying and asking God for help. So they went to the king and spoke to him about his royal decree. Did you not publish a decree that during the next 30 days, anyone who prays to any god or human being except to you, your majesty, will be thrown into the lion's den? The king answered, the decree stands in accordance with the law of the Medes and Persians, which cannot be repealed. Then they said to the king, Daniel, who is one of the exiles from Judah, pays no attention to you, your majesty, or to the decree you put in writing. He still prays 3 times a day. When the king heard this, he was greatly distressed. He was determined to rescue Daniel and made every effort until sundown to save him. Then the men went as a group to King Darius and said to him, remember, your majesty, that according to the law of Medes and Persians, no decree or edict that the king issued can be changed. So the king gave the order, and they brought Daniel and threw him into the lion's den. The king said to Daniel, may your God whom you serve continually rescue you. A stone was brought and placed over the mouth of the den, and the king sealed it with his own signet ring and with the rings of his nobles, so that Daniel's situation might not be changed.
So we see King Darius passed a decree that anyone who will be found praying to any god or human being during the next 30 days will be thrown into a lion's den. Then, after the decree had been passed, it was found out that Daniel was still praying 3 times a day, and that was not allowed according to the decree that was passed by King Darius. So the king ordered Daniel to be thrown into a lion's den. That one we see it in the same chapter 6, verse 16. So the king gave the command, and they brought Daniel and cast him into the den of lions. But the king spoke, saying to Daniel, your God, whom you serve continually, he will deliver you. So because Daniel was thrown in the lion's den because he was against the decree that King Darius had passed through. So, after Daniel had been thrown into the lion's den, we see that God shut the lion's mouth and Daniel was not hurt. He was thrown into the den of lions, but God, whom Daniel served, the God of Daniel, shut the mouth of the lion so that Daniel could not be hurt by the lions. Despite of being thrown into the dense lions, nothing happened to Daniel. He was protected by his God, whom he served continually. The same chapter 6, verse 22. My God sent his angel and shut the lion's mouth so that they have not hurt me, because I was found innocent before him. And also, O king, I have done no wrong before you. So Daniel was worshipping his God. He had done nothing wrong, despite of King Darius throwing and commanding him to be thrown in the lion's den. Nothing could be done to him. God shut the lion's mouth, and we see that at the end, Daniel was not hurt at all. So if we trust and become true believers of God, nothing hard, no situation that comes our way shall be permanent. God will be your shield all the days of your life. Don't be afraid of anything that may be coming your way. Just know that my destiny is in God. God will protect me the rest of my life. So King Darius comes and honors the God of Daniel. He saw that I have ordered this Daniel to be thrown in the lion's den. But at last, he comes out of the lion's den without anything. He has not been hurt, nothing has happened to him. So King Darius comes and honors God, the God of Daniel, because the God of Daniel endures forever. If we read the same chapter 6, verse 24 to 27, and the king gave the command, and they brought those men who had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions overpowered them, and broke all their bones in pieces before they ever came to the bottom of the den. Then King Darius wrote to all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied to you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom, men must tremble and fear before the God of Daniel. For he is the living God and steadfast forever. His kingdom is the one which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall endure to the end. He delivers and rescues. He works signs and wonders in heaven and on earth. Who has delivered Daniel from the power of lions? So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. So we see God protected Daniel until King Darius comes and honors. Who is this God of Daniel? Who can protect a person who has been thrown into a den of lions from being eaten by the lions? So finally we see Daniel prospers during the reign of King Darius. That one I've read from the same chapter 6, verse 12. So don't worry with any situation that you pass through. Just know your destiny is in God and everything shall be well. So another person that I want to talk about, considering the theme, the believer's destiny, is the story of Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael. The same book, Daniel, that is, if you read the whole chapter 3, we see Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael believed in God. Before even they were given these names, they had other names, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. So, these three people, Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael, believed in God. They believed that even when they will be thrown into a burning fiery furnace, they will continue to serve God. Despite of the harsh laws that they were given, they continue to praise the name of God. The harsh laws were given by King Nebuchadnezzar. So, King Nebuchadnezzar had passed harsh laws to those people. But Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael believed that even though they have passed harsh laws, we will still continue to praise the name of God. Even after being thrown into the burning fiery furnace, they did not get burnt because there came a fourth person who came to rescue them. Who is this fourth person? The fourth person who came to rescue the three people, Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael, was God. After they had been thrown into the burning fiery furnace, there came a fourth person who is God and came to rescue them. So King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished. He was shocked since he thought that the three men will be burnt into the fire. Can someone read Daniel 3, 22 to 25?
the king's command was so urgent and the furnace so hot that the flames of the fire killed the soldiers who took up to Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these 3 men, firmly tied, fell into the blazing furnace. Then King Nebuchadnezzar leaped to his feet in amazement and asked his advisors, "Weren't there 3 men that we tied up and threw into the fire?" They replied, "Certainly, Your Majesty." He said, "Look, I see 4 men walking around in the fire, unbound and unharmed, and the 4th looks like a son of the gods."
So, from the chapter 3 of Daniel, verse 22 to 25, King Nebuchadnezzar was astonished because there was a 4th person who came to rescue Ananias, Azariah, and Mishael after being thrown in the burning fire. So King Nebuchadnezzar glorified God. That one we see it in the same chapter 3, verse 26 to 30. Then Nebuchadnezzar went near the mouth of the burning fiery furnace and spoke, saying, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the Most High God, come out and come here." Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came from the midst of the fire, and the satraps, administrators, governors, and the king's counselors gathered together, and they saw these 3 men on whose bodies the fire had no power. The hair of their head was not singed, nor were their garments affected, and the smell of fire was not on them. Nebuchadnezzar spoke, saying, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who sent his angel and delivered his servants who trusted in him. His servants who trusted in him, and they have frustrated the king's word, and healed their bodies, that they should not serve nor worship any god except their own God. Therefore I make a decree that any people, nation, or language which speaks anything amiss against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut into pieces, and their houses shall be made an ash heap, because there is no other God who can deliver like this." Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. So, despite of the challenges from the story of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego being thrown in the burning fiery furnace, there came a 4th person who protected them. So, despite of the challenges you are passing through, maybe financial constraints and others, you are to remain committed and faithful. God is watching out, and all the challenges that you are passing through will come to an end. There is a person who is watching out. Even if you are alone this time that you are passing through difficult circumstances, God is there. There is another person who is working with you, and all the challenges will come to pass. So long as you believe that my destiny is in God. Then another person I want to talk about is Hannah. Hannah, from the book of 1 Samuel. You all know the story of Hannah and Peninnah and Elkanah. Elkanah had 2 wives, Hannah and Peninnah. Peninnah was blessed to have children. Hannah, his womb had been closed. So we see Peninnah each and every time could laugh at Hannah because she was having children, and Hannah was not having children. So their husband, who is Elkanah, could make offerings and give them to Peninnah and all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah, he could give her double portions, for he loved Hannah more than Peninnah. We see, Elkanah loved Hannah more than Peninnah. And why did Elkanah love Hannah more than Peninnah? He loved Hannah more than Peninnah because Hannah's womb had been closed. So someone to read 1 Samuel chapter 1 from verse 4 to 5.
What happened? David asked. Tell me. Whenever the day came for Elkanah to sacrifice, he would give portions of the meat to his wife Peninnah and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he gave a double portion because he loved her and the Lord had closed her womb.
Yes. And whenever the time came for Elkanah to make an offering, he would give portions to Peninnah, his wife, and to all her sons and daughters. But to Hannah he would give a double portion, for he loved Hannah, although the Lord had closed her womb. So Hannah was hated by Peninnah because there were two wives to Elkanah. So Peninnah saw that I have children and Hannah doesn't have children. So he had that hatred to Hannah. But Hannah knew that her destiny is only in God. Hannah could even cry each and every time, pray hard each and every time. Sometimes he could not even eat. His husband Elkanah could ask, why do you cry each and every time? But Hannah knew the reason as why he cried. He cried to God. He prayed to God hard so that God can do something in her life. So Hannah prayed hard each day and night and wept until God did something upon her life. We see finally Peninnah loved Hannah, but through that persistence in prayer that Hannah had, Hannah was blessed. He didn't have children, but he was blessed and he got a child. So I urge you, let us pray without ceasing, as Hannah did. Never give up in prayers. Even if you will have to fast, so that God can work out miracles upon your life. Just fast. Even if it is to pray each and every time. Just pray. God will answer your prayers. Let us be like Hannah. I know there are people outside there, they can laugh at you because maybe you don't have this and this, and he or she has. They laugh at you, they laugh at each and every time. Don't be stressed up with such people. Just pray to God. Pray without ceasing, and God will work out a miracle. Then, another person I want to talk about who believed that her destiny is in God. I hope all of us understand a woman who had a flow of blood. A woman who had a flow of blood. Mark chapter 5, verse 27 to 30. Mark 5, 27 to 30. When she heard about Jesus, she came behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. For she said, If only I may touch his cloth, I shall be made well. Immediately the fountain of her blood was dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of the affliction. And Jesus, immediately knowing in himself that power had gone out of him, turned around in the crowd and said, "Who touched my cloth?" But his disciples said to him, "You see the multitude thronging you, and you say, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see her, but had done. He looked around to see her, but he looked around to see her who had done this. But the woman, fearing and trembling, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell down before him and told him the whole truth. And he said to her, "Daughter, your faith has made you well. Go in peace and be healed of your affliction." So we see this woman who had a flow of blood for more than 12 years. When he heard about Jesus passing through, he just said, let me just touch his cloak, because he had faith. He believed that despite of the suffering that I'm passing through, my destiny is in God. When Jesus was passing through, he only touched his cloak, and his faith made her well. He was able to receive back her health. The blood was dried, and she felt her body that she was healed of the affliction. So a woman with a flow of blood knew that her destiny was in God. She only had faith in God when she only touched Jesus' cloak, and her health was restored back. Despite of the conditions you are passing through, believe in God. God is the holder of your destiny. Right now you can be sick, or you can be passing through any circumstances. I urge you, let us know that our destiny is in God. Our destiny is not in people. So this woman believed that her destiny was in God, and after touching Jesus' cloak, she was able to be restored. Her health was able to be restored. So have faith. Anything you pass through, just have faith. Just know that this thing I'm passing through, it is just for a while. It is not permanent. It is not permanent in my life. It is just for a while, and God, one day He will wipe away your tears and will rejoice. Then we have the blind beggar, or the blind Bartimaeus, who received his sight back. In the same book, Mark, chapter 10, verse 46 to 52. And they came to Jericho. As he went out of Jericho with his disciples and a great multitude, blind Bartimaeus, the son of Timaeus, sat by the road begging. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Then many warned him to be quiet, but he cried out all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." So Jesus stood still and commanded him to be called. Then they called the blind man, saying to him, "Be of good cheer. Rise, he is calling you." And throwing aside his garment, he rose and came to Jesus. So Jesus answered and said to him, "What do you want me to do for you? What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said to him, "Rabboni," that I may receive my sight. Then Jesus said to him, Go your way, your faith has made you well. And immediately he received his sight and followed Jesus on the road. So we see this blind Bartimaeus. When Jesus was passing through, he cried to God. Even if people were telling him to stop crying, he knew that, let me cry so that my voice can be heard by Jesus. Because if, for example, he could not cry out loudly, Jesus could not hear him. Because the people who were there were very many, a great multitude of people. So if you just keep quiet there, Jesus could not know that there is a person there who needs help. So he cried out. When Jesus heard his cry, he asked the blind Bartimaeus, What do you want me to do for you? So the blind Bartimaeus only said that, I want to receive my sight back. And Jesus said to him, Go your way, your faith has made you well. So from that when blind Bartimaeus said that, I want to receive my sight back, he was able to receive his sight back. So the blind Bartimaeus understood that his destiny was in God only. When Jesus was passing by, he only asked Jesus that he would want to receive his sight back. And because of the faith he had, he was able to receive his sight back. So, if you have faith in God, nothing is impossible. If you have faith in God, nothing is impossible before God. Anything that you pass through, it is possible before the name of God. If the blind Bartimaeus could receive his sight back, a woman with a flow of blood could receive or her health was restored back. So us as believers, also anything that we pass through, it is not permanent in our life. It will come to an end. Those problems, they are possible to God, and God will help us to overcome them. So, what hinders believers from reaching their destiny? What hinders believers from reaching their destiny? 1. Not being prayerful. Not being prayerful. Let us be prayerful as believers. As an example from the Bible, Hannah was prayerful. She even decided not to eat, just to pray each and every time, to fast, even cry. She cried to God. And indeed, God did a miracle to her life. She knew that my destiny is in God. And if I want to receive what I want, let me just be prayerful each and every time. So, if you don't become prayerful, you will not reach your destiny. Even if it will take you to fast all the day, but you get what you want, let it be so. Each and every person here, you know the challenges you are passing through. So be prayerful each and every time, so that God can do a miracle in your life. Another thing that hinders believers from reaching their destiny is lack of faith. Lack of faith. As Christians, in God. I've given several examples of people who had faith in God from the Bible. The woman with the flow of blood for over 12 years. She had faith in God just by touching Jesus' cloak, and her health was restored back. So, as Christians, let us have faith in God as the woman with the flow of blood who bleeded for more than 12 years had faith just by touching Jesus' cloak. Then also, another example I gave about the blind Bartimaeus, he had faith when Jesus was passing by, and he was able to receive his sight back just by crying loud to Jesus, and Jesus asked him, "What do you want me to do for you?" And he said that, "I want to receive my sight back." Through that, he had faith. By just saying, "I want to receive my sight back," he had faith. So let us have faith that everything is possible. Usikae tu unajihurumia kwa sababu ya hali ambayo unapitia. Ukiwa na imani ya kwamba hiyo hali siku moja itakuondokea, jua ya kwamba hiyo hali itaisha siku moja. Another thing that hinders believers from reaching their destiny is lack of commitment for God's work. Lack of commitment for God's work. As Christians, we should be committed to God's work all the time without getting tired. Because if you are committed to God's work, there is a reward. If, for example, in church you have been given a certain position to perform or a certain task to perform, let you not just be ready to perform and be ready to be committed to God's work. Because if you are committed to God's work, just know that there is a reward that will come your way. Even sometimes you don't need to pray. If you are just committed to God's work each and every time, miracles will just happen. So another thing that hinders us believers from reaching our destiny is ignorance. Ignorance. Some of us, you just hear the word, but you don't put it in practice. Very many people come here to preach. They give advices, but because we are, I don't know, you just ignore. You just ignore what you are being told. So that one will hinder you from reaching your destiny. For example, if you are supposed to become a certain person in life, and you are advised to do this and this, and you ignore, your destiny will not be achieved. You will not reach your destiny. And when you don't reach your destiny, you'll start saying that these people are bad. So just avoid ignorance so that you can reach your destiny. Another thing that hinders us from reaching our destiny is laziness. Laziness. Most of us Christians, we fail to play our part just because of being lazy until we don't reach our destinies. We fail to play our part just because of being lazy until we don't reach our destiny. You decide you want to become a doctor maybe in future, but you are not hardworking. You are not playing your part towards that thing that you want to become. You just sit there. How will you become, for example, a doctor, and you don't work hard, maybe in school? So how will you reach your destiny? So you have to avoid being lazy. Try to be hardworking so that you can reach your destiny. Some of us even we become too lazy to pray. When they say pray, you just look at people. Others are praying, you are just looking at others. So when they say pray, just pray. When you don't pray, the first point was not being prayerful. So when you don't pray, you won't reach your destiny. Then some of us extend even our laziness. Some of us extend laziness even in church. You don't want to come to church. Then you want to reach your destiny. So let us avoid laziness. Then another thing that hinders us believers from reaching our destiny is believing in the past. Believing in the past. Speaking negative towards your life will make one not reach his or her destiny. Mtu anaamua tu anasema, mimi hata siwezi. There is power in the tongue. When you speak negative towards your life, just know you not reach your destiny. Speak positive things towards your life, towards your destiny. Just say, I can. Because if you speak negative, meaning you don't believe in God, you don't have faith. So just speak positive. Say, I can do this and this. Even if, for example, in your family, there are people who tried doing something, for example, business, and their business is just failing. Then you say, even me, if I try, I will not make it. That one you are cursing yourself. Just say, I can. Even if they tried, each and every person is different. So just try and know that even if they did not make it, I can make it. So stop speaking negative towards your life, because it will hinder you from reaching your destiny. Then another thing that hinders us from reaching our destiny is being mean or selfish. Being mean or selfish. Most Christians are selfish. They cannot serve God with what they have. You can still serve God with what you have, so that God can uplift you into higher positions and reach your destiny. Even if it is something small, you can serve God with that, so that God can uplift you from that small thing to big things. But most of us are very selfish, very mean. When you are told to give this, you say, if I give this, what will I remain with? Just give out. Just give out. Know that when you give out that small thing that you had, God will lift you high and get from small things to big things. So, don't be mean to God. Stop being mean. Stop being stop being selfish. Because even if you become selfish, the small things that God had given you, then you become selfish, even you don't want to give in church. God can decide to take them away and give to someone who is ready to serve him with the small things she or he has, and God will uplift him. So, being mean and being selfish hinders us from reaching our destiny. So I urge you, let us stop being mean. Just give out. And others, they give out with complaints. You give out with complaints. Even if it is the small you had, you give out with complaint. Stop complaining. Then another thing that hinders us from reaching our destiny is lack of sacrifice. Lack of sacrifice. Even if it is to die, it means to die for the sake of Christ. In order to reach your destiny, then let it be so. Some of us fear dying for the sake of Christ. You want to please people. So, we see Job. I had talked about the story of Job. Job lost everything that he had. His sons and daughters died. His properties was taken away from him. He had sheep, donkeys, oxen. They were taken away from him. Everything. But he persistently prayed. And he persistently believed in God. Some of us, when our things are taken away, we become so much stressful. We say, even we start cursing God. Why do this thing happen? Mbona inanifanyikia mimi? Stop saying like that. Because there is a reason as to why it has happened. So Job lost everything he had. And at last, he received many things that he had lost. All his properties that were taken away from him, he was able to receive them back. His children, his sons and daughters that died, he was able to receive other children. So, lack of sacrifice will hinder us from reaching our destiny. Then the last point on what hinders us from reaching our destiny is associating yourself with dream killers. Associating yourself with dream killers. If you have a friend I believe you understand your friend better. And you see that this friend of mine, to some extent, he or she is not even advising me on things that can build maybe my faith or things that can build my life. Just disconnect yourself from such a person. Because if you have a dream of becoming a great person in the future, then you work with a dream killer. Will you reach your destiny? It is impossible. So just disconnect yourself with dream killers because they will make you not reach your destiny. They will make you, even if you are a student, some will make you even drop out of school. And you had a dream of becoming a certain person in the future. So you'll drop out of school and your destiny will not be achieved. So let us disconnect ourselves from dream killers so that we can reach our destiny. And let us believe in God. As I finish, I want to ask all of us, let us have faith. As Hannah had faith, as the woman with the flow of blood, as the blind Bartimaeus, they had faith. Let us pray each and every time without ceasing. So, as Christians, if you pray each and every time, if worship God in truth and spirit, nothing that comes your way is impossible to God. Everything is possible. God will help you. Thank you.